What's up, guys? For today's knife review, we're talking about my absolute favorite knife. This is the Cold Steel SR1. Let's consider this video my 2019 Knife of the Year video. And I know that this knife didn't come out in 2019, but for me personally, this is the knife that I carried the most during the year of 2019. Before we get into the review, let's do a quick 360, just in case I don't show you all the angles when I'm talking. And that being said, starting off with the first talking point, which is price. MSRP is $270, but retail online you're looking at $130 to $170 depending on which version you get. This version I got is around $130 on Amazon before taxes. Next talking point is dimensions, which I'm going to have on the screen for you, but just going down the list, starting off with blade length, you're looking at 4 inches. And then a blade thickness of 4.5 millimeters, a handle length of 5.375 inches, and an overall length of 9.375 inches. Definitely not a small knife. It is substantial, but I love that. Maybe you might not like that, but for you big knife guys, this is definitely a knife that you will enjoy. Next talking point is weight. So let me pull out my tactical scale for you. And then let's see what we're looking at here. 7 1/8 ounces. And it's not light either. It's not small and it's not light. Next talking point is blade steel and handle material. Blade steel is CPM S35VN. I'm not a steel scientist or an expert on it by any means, but I do know that all my knives that have S35VN blade steels are fantastic and they hold the edge for a very long time. I don't think actually I have yet to sharpen any of my knives with S35VN. And then for the handle material, G10 with no liners. I used to think that if a knife didn't have metal liners that it was weak and it would break easily. However, the SR1 totally changed my mind on that. And off of personal experience, I can guarantee you that there's nothing you can do outside of gross abuse and torture testing that will damage the handle on this knife, or for any G10 knife with no metal liners. It's an excellent quality material, and it is durable and reliable and very long lasting. And it'll definitely outlive you over the course of your ownership of any knife with no metal liners. Next talking point is action, deployment, and lockup. So for the action and deployment, action is buttery smooth. It comes out super easily. Even doing a slow opening, there's no hot spot on your thumb pushing up against that thumb stud. And a good way to test how good the action is by holding it in a reverse grip and flicking it out with your finger, because you have significantly less strength with your finger, and for me that was easy. I didn't really have to put any kind of force oh shit, sorry. Anyways, it's difficult to do this looking through a viewfinder, but you get my drift. Buttery smooth action, very easy to deploy. And as far as lockup goes, triad lock. If you don't know anything about the triad lock, I urge you to look it up on the internet, watch a video on it. It is fantastic. If you know anything about lockback knives, you know that that's probably one of the strongest locking mechanisms you can get. And the triad lock is basically just a lockback knife, but more, and then some. A lockback knife on steroids. So lock failure will be something you'll never have to worry about. Alright, next talking point is ergonomics. For a big knife with no finger choils, ergonomics is fantastic. I don't know what these are called, but they come out and it's really good to prevent you from slipping your hand forward or the other way for a very secure grip. And you've got some jimping right here on the side. Unfortunately, no jimping on the top of the blade itself, but I don't know. For what I use it for, ergonomics is fantastic. I don't think you'll have any issues with comfort of use. Alright, next talking point is pocketability. For a large knife, it is extremely pocketable. I have had no issues putting this in my pockets, and it doesn't print. It's not very revealing, so, you know, and I live in a fairly, what you want to call it, liberal area. I don't want to use the word liberal because I don't want to offend anybody, but basically, you know, anti-gun, anti-weapons, whatever you want to call it, and I have no issue carrying this in my pocket and, you know, scaring anybody. And you've also got a fully ambidextrous pocket clip, so you just got to remove these 3 screws and then put it on the other side for a left pocket carry. So that's always a good thing. And then next talking point is comparison. So what am I going to compare this knife to for you guys? The only knife in my collection that I think can compare to the SR1 is my SOG Steel XR. I'm sure there's plenty of other knives in, you know, the catalog of the world that can compare to the SR1, but for me, this is the only one I have that I think compares. So here's a side by side. So really, they are almost the same in dimensions, you know, with a couple of differences here and there, obviously, but for the most part, if you are a SOG Steel XR kind of guy, then you will enjoy the SR1 and vice versa. But both excellent blades, and both in S35VN steel actually, so that's always great too. Alright, last talking point is my overall thoughts and should you buy. You know, if you didn't know already, I freaking love this knife. I even said that this was my knife of the year, and I think the main thing for it was the 4-inch blade, which for me, 4-inch blade is the way to go. To me, that is the perfect length for EDC, to do basic utilitarian tasks, for self-defense. You know, anything smaller than 4 inches I think is really just I don't know, utilitarian purpose. But for me, I like to have multiple uses for my knife, self-defense being one of them. Not that that's the only thing I think about, but I do think it's an important thing to consider. Another thing that I really enjoy about it is the ease of use. The knife comes out extremely well. The thickness of the, was it the lock, or what is this called? The, I don't even know what this is called. I need to look that up. But anyways, this part, so when you're closing the knife, because it is so thick, it's not a hot spot. It's so enjoyable to push down and close your knife. And yeah, so for a lot of other knives, this part is relatively thin, so it's almost like a dull knife pushing into your finger, and that kind of sounds like a, you know, whiny, bitching kind of complaint. But I mean, it is a complaint that I have for some knives with that, and I just appreciate the thickness of this part right here, so it doesn't dig into my finger. Yeah, and then the last thing is really just the overall look. It looks so simple, not complicated, and cool, which is another big thing to me. In my personal opinion, my EDC not only has to be practical, but it also has to look good. And some of you don't care about that, but for me, that's something I consider. But yeah, what can I say? It's been a fantastic knife. It's done everything that I needed to do. So easy to take care of, so easy to clean, very low maintenance. So anyways, that's all I gotta say for now. I hope that this video helps you with your next knife purchase. Thank you for watching, and tune in for my next review. Alright, bye.